All right, welcome, kings and queens. Today we are talking what happens when you spare the rod and spoil the child. Y'all, what is going on? What is going on? Like, I've never seen so many disrespectful, privileged, ungrateful, nonchalant, non-caring, emotionally crippled young adults before in my entire life. And I can't help but to think about it when, as I was gearing up to come to talk about, what is it? Nene Leak's son, not Brent, Bryson and Carly Reed, and then little Scrappy. And I'm thinking, I'm looking at the product because the children, is it safe to say, you're a product of your environment. And in these cases, I'm not talking about where they live. Your environment, in my perspective, and what I'm honing in on, the people that raised you, the people that corrected you, the people that poured into you or did not, or failed to pour into you. So now we're dealing with 3 adults, all of age, all who know better, but continues to hand down and act out. Some people say generational curses. I don't believe in that. There's generational behaviors when it comes to things that we pick up that we should have let go a long time ago. I'm going to start off with I'm going to start off with Bryson. Nene Leak's son, Bryson. Y'all, I'm not going to even spend a lot of time of going through the arrest. We know he's been arrested. This isn't his first time. He's been around the block a few times with the legal system. So what's new? But boy, you done took the damn cake. You done took the cake with this one. So let's talk about it. I'm also going to talk about Lil Scrappy and Mama D. And I'm going to briefly touch on Carly. Actually, you know what? I'm not talking about Carly today. Take that out. Scratch that off the docket. Scratch that off the docket. I'm not talking about Carly today. I don't feel like it. So we gonna keep it to these men. We're gonna keep it to Lil Scrappy, Mama D, Bryson, and Nene. All right, let's get started. For those of you who are just tuned in, or if you're new to the channel, welcome to the palace. I am Queen Sheba. I cover a variety of hot topics specific to reality television. But most importantly, I hone in on the psychological and the behavioral traits of the Black experience.
Subscribe now.
All right, y'all. So earlier in the month, a day before July 4th, Nene Leak's son, Bryson Bryant. Nene, why you name him that? Bryson Bryant. But I don't know. But anywho, that's off topic. Bryson Bryant, who's 33, a full grown ass man. He was arrested, okay, for possessing a narcotic, fentanyl. And then he lied. So he tried to evade the cops as they began to ask him about, his information. Who are you? Your name, all of that. This Negro gave them his younger brother's name. The audacity, the disrespect, what the hell were you thinking? Now, he's 10 years older than his younger brother. So he's 33. Actually, he's 11 years older than his younger brother. He's 33. His younger brother is 22. His younger brother was also, you remember, he had a stroke or a heart attack. You remember? That was Brenton that had the stroke or the heart attack. So you would rather throw and tarnish your younger brother, throw him under the bus, tarnish his reputation. Of course, he would have never known had the police not done their due diligence of researching who you really were or whatever, however it came out, right? So he could have just literally been going to the grocery store, got pulled over and thrown back in jail for missing court. Because obviously you had no intention of making this right. See, when somebody gives a fake name, that means you're not showing up to court. You're not going to do any of that they let you out. You're not about to do any of the things that you agreed to do contingent upon your freedom. So he's sorry. That's a sorry ass child. Nene, I got to look at you because I know, well, I really don't know. I have questions. I got to look at you, Nene, and say, where do you feel like you went wrong? And I know once Nene was able to kind of soar in her career, and all that's fine, right? When we get money, but it's before then. See, the money can't fix or resolve the problem. And I have a lot of questions regarding how was he raised? And I hate to knock single mothers because there's single mothers that do a hell of a job raising children. But I have a lot of questions. Nene, what was he like as a child? A younger boy? Did you spend a lot of time with him? Because, Nene used to strip. Y'all know that. And hey, that's neither here nor there. Because the point is, it's not where you at. It's not how you start. It's how you finish. But there's a deficit. And this man has not been able to get on the right track whatsoever. But I don't really care after a certain point about what happened in life, because we all go through stuff. We all have a story to tell. Because at a certain point, you know right from wrong. And your black ass took yourself down to the police station and used your younger brother's name, who you know have a medical condition. So he goes down, he gives a fake name, an alias, which is his younger brother's name. They booked him in jail. They gave him a bond. Okay. He was released the next day. Now, they rearrested his ass. Can we get a round of applause? Okay. His charges were so extensive. They said, you know what? Now that we know he used the fake name, we're going to go back and pick him up. And I'm glad they did. So they picked him up and brought his ass back to jail. And they charged him with more for violation of a probation, loitering, and giving a false name, address, and birthday. Or birthday, because I think he gave his younger brother's birthday. And he gave an old address of a home, y'all. Y'all remember the house? I don't know if it was the house that Nene bought for him, but he gave out an old address of a house that Nene used to own. One that she since sold. So when I think about the sorriness of a grown man like this, now this man has more than one child. I think about the women that would lay down with him, the mothers that allow their daughters to bring something like that home. And when I say something like that, I mean exactly what I said, something like that home. You've seen them, okay? Dusty, mumbling, high all the time, dirty fingernails, all that. And then you have a mother who's Nene licks, and I'm not blaming Nene. I just gotta know, I'm so curious, what the hell went wrong with the child rearing? And I know you can only train, but the Bible says train a child in the way they should go, right? And eventually they will return to it. I got a lot of questions about this one, but I also want to say that's what you get when you coddle boys. And we don't want to be abusive towards our boys. We want to recognize them as human beings. But at the same time, ladies, if you happen to find yourself in a predicament as a single mother, you cannot be coddling those boys. You cannot over nurture the boys because you will kill them. Not literally. And let me give you an example. I had a plant during COVID. You remember everybody was picking up new hobbies, new habits. I decided I wanted to become a plant mom. I went out, got all of my plants, and my plants began to die, especially one of them that I really love, my big, beautiful elephant ear. We rushed the plant off to the nursery, and the man said, typical problem. And I said, what? He said, with plants, both men and women kill plants. The problem with women is they overwater, they over-nurture. The problem with men is they don't do enough to the plant. Women, I said that to say, we over-nurture. We over-coddle these boys, and we're killing them. We're killing their growth. We're stunting their emotional development. We're stunting their ability to grow up and be independent, respectful to women, and for them to not look at their women who should take over the responsibility of their mothers. That's a whole different topic. I'm not going to even go down that rabbit hole. I'm going to save that one for a different day. Because a lot of these boys, you know what? I'll save that for a little Scrappy. But that's what I'm saying. Ladies, we got to start. We got to stop over coddling, doing everything for these boys. And it's tough because we love them. We want to make their plates. We want to, but you can't. You can't. You're going to have to start to think a little bit differently when it comes to how you handle those boys in your home. If you are a single mother. Let's move on. All right, let's move on to Scrappy, Bambi, and Mama D. Earlier when I said that I would talk about them, I failed to include Bambi in that scenario, but we have to include Bambi. I want to include Bambi because it's very important, ladies. And the reason why I'm including Bambi is the perfect example of what I'm talking about when I said we've got to stop coddling these grown-ass boys. You cannot save a man. You cannot heal a broken man. Baby, you got to give that one to the Lord. You got to, because you're not God, ladies, when it comes to healing and trauma and men that have no solid baseline foundation that's walking into your life toxic, broken, all of that, insecure, overcompensating for their masculinity. No, ma'am, you can't fix that. And as a matter of fact, it's like a fire, baby. You get too close, you're going to get burnt. And Bambi is the perfect example of a lot of women that are willing to play Captain Save a Hoe. And I want to save these men. And you feel like your love, if he just had a little bit of your love, and if he experienced your touch, and if he got in your home and saw how clean your house is and feel the warmth of your environment, he just may change. No, ma'am. No, ma'am, Pam. Not only that, ladies, they will use you up and then start all over from scratch and pour into a completely different woman. But I want to hold you 1,000 times accountable, Bambi. Because you came in wrong. You came in creating strife, division, separation, hate, anger, irritation. And you teamed up with him to go after the first mother of his child, Erica Dixon. So what makes you think you deserve sympathy now, right? Now that he's not being there for your children, and now that he used you as a roommate. Yes, he gave you a ring, but you were a married roommate. You were not a wife. You were a married roommate. And I've never seen Bambi. Bambi has always come across intimidating, forceful, and strong to me. Bambi is a beautiful girl aesthetically, but Bambi, in my opinion, has aggressive tendencies. And I've always felt that from her. And if you consider her height, it makes her equally intimidating, whether it's right, wrong, or unfair, y'all. I'm just telling you. And Bambi, you utilize that energy to try to go after Erica. Okay? And really, what'd you try to do? The word I'm looking for is devalue, mock Erica. And now you find yourself in the same situation. No, actually worse. Because this nigga had you living in a house like a roommate. Baby, it ain't no love when you split bills 50-50, y'all. Ladies, you walking yourself into a trap. It ain't nothing lovely and feminine and sexy and protective and admirable about splitting bills down the middle for a man. I don't give a damn how he talks you into it. You better talk yourself out of it. So Bambi, I hold you equally responsible because you thought you were better and more superior. And you thought that you were different. And you're not. Nobody's different when you're dealing with a broken man. I want to say that. And you were mean. You were bitchy. You were all of that. You were a Tasmanian devil when it came to family And I'm not saying Mama D was wrong. I mean, was right. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm talking about when it comes to being a wife, your job is to create a home, to help that man be better if you can. But you have to pick right. So you started off picking wrong. Scrappy ain't never been right for nobody, not even himself. And I'll get into that. But the fact that you walked into his life and started to create chaos and havoc on the accord that another woman had his child, and just because you can mess with her, you did. And now look at you. Hence the reason why I say the same thing that makes you laugh will make you cry. And it's embarrassing to me. If I were you, Bambi, I would stop talking. I would really stop talking about how broke he is and what he ain't doing, because you laid down with him over and over and over and over again and allowed him to impregnate you with his ain't nothing ass. And I think what we tend to forget as women is water seeks its own level, because if he ain't shit and you're constantly getting into bed with him and making child after child after child, and this nigga is splitting, making you pay half the mortgage, half the bills, Bambi, that says a lot about you. That says a lot about you and what you don't have as a woman when it comes to how you view yourself. Because ain't no way you that bitch and you putting up with that. Excuse my language, y'all, but I'm just trying to push the message across for all demographics that are tuned in, from millennials, my boomers, my Gen Zs, everybody, right? You let that man finesse you out of your femininity. And you're mad and you're hurt. And I believe the reason why you're mad is because you know you were wrong. Because you went hard after other women. You did the fool. Was going to fight and all of that. And look what it got you. Nothing. And I'm going to leave that there. All right, so let's transition to Mama D. Where do we start? I'm gonna say Mama D, in my opinion, is soulless. She has no soul. She's a female narcissist, in my opinion. And I'm basing that off of her historical behavior of being a madam and a pimp and forcing women into selling their bodies. Y'all, that's no different than sex trafficking. That's no different than anything else that we're seeing. Okay. And she was the pimp. So that's abuse. That's a woman that abused young girls and young women in a black community, utilized their bodies, sold them off to men in a whorehouse, and she received the funds. So you got to be a special kind of woman to be able to do that to another woman. Right? And don't tell me nothing about, well, they signed up for it. Listen, you still got to be a special kind of woman to run and dictate that type of operation, right? And then we can pause there. And if that's not good enough for you, her son, she had her son in the whorehouse watching the acts, exposing him to danger, exposing him to malice. He could have been abused for all we know. See, that's the part that those boys don't talk about, right? Those are the tears that you don't see. That's the things they don't say. Well, Scrappy said it before, and he was calling his mama bruh and all of that because he don't see the femininity in her, the woman in her, because she basically acted like a man, probably in those whorehouses, as she was being dominating, allegedly, abusive, allegedly, to those younger women. So it ain't no different than what we see in the news, except she got away with it back then. It's against the law. It was against the law back then, but we didn't have the media sensation around it. And shit, most people don't care about black women anyway. So it's whatever. But it's when you start taking those other girls and making them do that, that's when you gather national attention. And that's when laws and regulations are put in place. But Mama D has been doing sex trafficking for a long time before we even coined the term, probably. Okay? So that's a special kind of Evil. That's a woman that likes to see other women hurt, i.e., the way she treated Bambi, the way she's treated herself, the way she treated Erica. That's a woman that hates herself. That's a woman that can't stand herself. See, we can only give to others what you can only give to others how you treat yourself. And Mama D thinks Scrappy is her man, if the truth be told. With the boy, his mom becomes his first love, but his mom can also become his first heartbreak. So when Scrappy was sitting there on Love and, what is it called? Love and Hip Hop. You remember when they had that face off and he was really angry? That's a lot of rage. Rightfully so. Rightfully so. He deserves a right to confront her. Most men don't confront their mamas, but what they do is they confront their wives and take it out on their wives and mistreat their wives based on the shit that their moms did to them. And we saw a little bit of that with him and Bambi. We saw a little bit of that with him and Bambi. But here's the thing that I learned from a psychologist. All of us tend to marry our mothers or our fathers, even if we never met them. Oh, that's deep, right? All of us will tend to marry our mother or our father, even if we've never met them. Make it make sense. So if you've never met your father, you're more likely to pick a man that's emotionally unavailable in your marriage because your father was never there. Let's say if your mother was doting and loving and this and that, because a woman can literally marry her mother, not in a physical sense, but you can literally pick somebody that has the traits of your mother, right? Let's just say if your mother was very loving, kind, caring, you can pick your mother or you can pick your father. So that's all I'm trying to say. I'm trying to lay that out there, but I don't want you to misconstrue that with the same sex or anything like that. Scrappy married his mama. Let that marinate. Scrappy married his mama. Bambi possessed a lot of traits that Mama D possessed. They're both aggressive, disrespectful, unwavering when it comes to other women. Now, I'm not talking about what Bambi is now that she has a village, because Bam is still the same old Bam. She just has her attention on Scrappy because he embarrassed her. He left her. He wouldn't conform to what she thought a marriage should look like. But at the end of the day, Scrappy picked his mother, the aggressive tendencies. So Bambi carries a lot of the negative traits that Mama D carry. And in turn, Scrappy picked her. Okay? Now, on the flip side of that, what happens is if you pick somebody that carries the negative characteristics and traits and personality qualities of either parent, in my opinion, Scrappy picked her, but also he picked her, but he never really loved her, right? So he can always leave because she'll always be a problem because she possessed traits like his mother did. Like his mother has, like his mother has those similar qualities, those similar traits. And as a result, I can nitpick you apart because you aggressive like my mama. I can always run out the house and storm off and cheat on you because you aggressive. You're not feminine enough. You don't talk to me right. Yeah. Until he heals, no woman will be good enough. No woman will be good enough. Scrappy is a broke down, hurt boy, and I wouldn't be surprised if he was sexually abused and or molested while in those whorehouses. Because you got to think about the spirits and the intent that people come there. They come there for sexual gratification, okay? So Mama D put he and his sister in that environment. You can't tell me that Johns that are walking in for sex, to be pleased, will overlook a child. So I wouldn't be shocked. I don't know this to be true, but I would not be shocked if Scrappy and or his sister were touched as children in that whorehouse that they were raised in. Okay? I don't even think he scratched the surface of how horrible Mama D has been and continues to be. Mama D is very jealous. She's very conniving. She has a self-hate towards herself. So she will always be combative and domineering when it comes to other women. Okay? And I don't care who you are, ladies, that may be dating Scrappy or may have felt like, well, Mama D is nice to me for now. For now. Until that narcissism kicks in. Okay? Because this is a woman that has abused women. And now she's old. Now she's old. And she can't abuse young women anymore. So she abuses you by tearing down your self-esteem, which she tried to do with Bambi and make Bambi feel like she's not good enough. And let me release no, bitch, let us release your police records. Let us go find some of those young girls that you forced into sex trafficking so we can really hear their stories. So if we're going to release anything, let us release the victim's account of what you did to them or what you allow those men to do to them in exchange for you receiving money. I'm not giving her a pass. I don't give a damn that she's a grandmother. I don't give a damn that she's somebody's mama because she abused somebody's kid. You know, whether she got him, I don't know. But the point is, I almost said something. So I wouldn't leave my kids along with Mama D, much less a dog. Okay? I've never heard her repent, apologize for her wrongdoings, or any of that. So Scrappy is the product of that. That's his lineage. That's his bloodline. And imagine how he shows up as a husband coming from a Mama D. Now I want to shift to Scrappy. Broken, angry, a ball of rage, self-medicates, self-indulges in sex, substances, and alcohol to heal. I'll pause there. And let me say allegedly. But I'm really giving you this commentary based on all the stuff that I've seen and the conditions I've witnessed him in on social media. So, is it really alleged? If I've seen it? You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to a man like that, you say, okay, well, what's the problem? The problem is he's broken. He hasn't healed. And he's going to fuck up anybody and everything within his pathway, like a tornado. Okay? It comes with the territory. His mama broke him. His mama broke his heart. His mama allowed him to be abused, allegedly. His mama exposed him to abuse. His mama exposed him to demonic spirits, a force of darkness, evil, shit that kids could never see, things that he'll never be able to unsee. So he ain't got no respect for no woman. He may want to. He may try to, but his heart won't let him. His heart won't let him. Does that make him a bad person? No. It makes him broken. It makes him broken. It makes him unfit to be a husband. It makes him, scrappy. A little scrappy. You know, when you think about it, that persona, that's it. And that's about as far as you'll get with that. And if you notice when he talks to Bambi, when I talk about a broken man, a healed man, he's going to stop himself from getting close to you anyway. After the sexual act, it doesn't go any further than that. You'll always find yourself when you're with a man like Scrappy feeling like there's just got to be more in this relationship. We don't, and that's the stuff women don't talk about, when you be like, this is good. On the outside, it looks good. He cares about the kids. We go on trips, but I don't feel that emotional connection. And you won't. And you won't. Because he doesn't know how. He can't give you what he does not have. And what happens is women like Bam start to fight for it, demanding respect, demanding his attention. And he becomes more enraged. He starts to act out more, leave the house, defy you. And I told you, at that point, he picked his mother. You're not a wife. You're his mother. That's what boys do to their moms. They leave the house when mama get on their nerves. They talk back, right? When they're not trying to hear what mama is talking about. That's not what husbands do. That's what boys do to their moms. Scrappy never protected Bambi, and he never will, because Scrappy is not a husband. Scrappy is a broken boy with a penis, whom Bambi allowed to impregnate her, and she mistook it for love. It was just what he saw, baby. He did to you what he grew up seeing men do to women. That's hump. You was just another body count that he placed a ring on. And I do believe he may have had good intentions, but he just couldn't pull it off because he's broken. And if you watch Scrappy, when he becomes frustrated, when he feels like his back up against the wall, he becomes a completely different person. I wouldn't be shocked to hear women or a woman or Bambi or somebody say he's violent behind scenes. I wouldn't be shocked at all. Look at his mama. He's a product. He is his mama's son. Destructive, dangerous, emotionally dangerous. When he's done with you, he abandoned you. But Bambi, he was never there. He was never there. The moment you start doing 50-50 with 3 kids, sweetheart, 4 kids, however many, he was never there. The moment his mama felt comfortable opening up her big pimp wide mouth against you, he was never there. He's still that little boy trapped in that whorehouse. Okay. So I wouldn't advise any woman, and I believe Diamond is pregnant by him. Sweetheart, that's just a sexual act. It doesn't equate to love. The outcome won't be good for you neither. I don't give a damn how much history you have with him. History doesn't substantiate commitment. It doesn't produce commitment. You get what I'm saying? Scrappy is broken. He will continue to go through and blow through women. And the sad part about it is there's a lot of you waiting and would line up easily. So that's why I said when I started off the commentary, I said, but who's really the problem? Is it the men or the women? And when I say the men or the women, I'm talking about these boy childs down from their mothers to the women that pick them and have babies with them, continually producing single parent households. And now, as the years go on, you're going to want somebody else's nice son who has no kids to come up in your home and play daddy to your kids. And if I was somebody's mother and father that produced and really worked hard, because parenting is hard, to make sure my son was on the up and up, no ma'am, I would not want him to pick you after you picked wrong. Okay? After you picked a little Scrappy to bang you up, produce kids by, left you, was never in a house anyway. Y'all constantly fighting on social media. He's constantly disrespecting you. Scrappy never loved you. Scrappy is not capable of love at this point at all, because he has not received the proper treatment necessary to begin to address his childhood traumas. And that's a lot of shit to unpack, which is why I'm not being that hard on him, right? Because I can only imagine what he went through by the way of a Mama D having him in a whorehouse. I can only imagine. And a lot of times we place a lot of emphasis on what girls experience. He probably experienced some stuff he can never talk about as a man, right? He can never talk about because it will be deemed weak. He may get called names. But the point is he's still acting bad. So ladies, all I'm saying is, little Scrappy will never be a good partner anytime soon. And men like Lil Scrappy, let me talk about men like Lil Scrappy. Rihanna said it in one of her earlier albums, Good Girl Gone Bad. They'll take a good girl and turn her bad, because that's all he knows is bad. That's all he knows. He's broken. That's all he knows. Destructive, pain, fighting, tears, anger, rage. And he'll turn a good girl into all of that. And then he'll constantly repeat the cycle and go find another girl that doesn't do that. And then he'll produce that from her along with a few kids and then move on. And let me tell you about men like that. They age. And by the time they age out, They settle down, right? They get to an age where they say, okay. And they actually talk themselves into believing that they're good men. And then they'll marry again. And they'll probably go after. So they can't go after the younger girl. The younger good girl. They go after the older good girl. Maybe an older woman. That's 40s, 50s. That's never been married. Got a good job. Like young Jock did with the attorney. I forgot her name. And they'll marry you. Because now you got benefits. You got a stable job. But they're still doing the same old bullshit. You're not traveling. They're not pouring into you. He on your medical benefits. You begging him to go out with you. Y'all go out, he on his phone texting. So he's still an old broken boy. An old fool. And you fell for the okie doke as an older woman. The most Lil Scrappy could or should be to anybody is maybe a one-night stand. Protected. A good time. A happy hour shot. And get the hell on. A text every now and then, once a quarter. I may pop up to your show. Hey, that's my friend. Yay. That's it. Those type of men, they're broken. And it's not his fault. It's not his fault. But the reality is, at a certain age, he knew better. And he's only inflicting on those women what he knew or has known to be inflicted on him. And that's how we continue to repeat the cycle in the Black community that y'all don't want to talk about. Y'all not ready for that conversation where we hold mofos accountable. Where we start looking at these mamas and say, you failed. We start looking at these daddies and say, and it's your fault too. Because you left the home. You slept with her knowing you had no intention of ever cultivating a family. And then you look back at the woman and said, why did you repeat this with him? And on and on and on and on. Because he's constantly making kids. It's crazy, y'all. I can't make this stuff up. But that's what I have for those three. Where do we go from here? Because it's a hot ass mess, if you ask me. And it's only going to get worse and worse and worse. And you can see that as evidence now when we look at the likes of a Carly Russell.